In the early 90s, a group of 7 prominent Marvel creators decided to go ahead and branch off and tell their own stories over at a company called Image Comics. One of the chief creators among these group of 7 creators was Jim Lee. Jim Lee went on to become the publisher over at DC Comics, but as a result, he ended up dissolving his Wildstorm characters, his own division of Image, over to DC's roster. Now DC is looking to go ahead and publish their own slate of Jim Lee's Wildstorm characters and integrate them into the DC universe. My name is Arco Braddock, and today we're going to go ahead and talk about the brand new Wildcats #1 issue. But before we get any deeper into the video, I want to go ahead and encourage you guys to consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy our content, and please make sure to hit that like button as well. I want to go ahead and start things off today by introducing the creative team behind Wildcats #1. This issue is written by Matthew Rosenberg. We have art from Steven Segovia, colors from Elmer Santos, and we have letters from Ferran Delgado. Plus, so there's a cover here from Segovia and Santos as well. And now I'm going to go ahead and show off the gorgeous cover from Segovia and Santos. Here is a look at the cover for Wildcats #1. And big thanks to CBR.com for posting this cover of the new Wildcats. Before we go deeper into the review, I want to give a little bit of context because you're going to need it in order to really understand my thoughts on an in-depth basis. This is not DC's first attempt to integrate Wildcats into the main DC universe. We recently saw DC attempt to reboot the Wildstorm property with a comic book title called The Wildstorm. This book was written by Warren Ellis and had art from John Davis Hunt, and it featured the Wildcats and Authority planning a war with each other. The way this series was able to slowly and naturalistically develop these characters and this war over the course of several issues was a tremendous comic book undertaking. And really what this title is looking to do is only flesh out kind of the Wildcats portion along with the DC Universe side of things. DC has also been tapping into the Authority characters with some really interesting teases of characters between titles like Action Comics and Superman Son of Kal-El. But for the purposes of this review, we're simply going to be focusing over on this new Wildcats issue. And I wanted to show off some of the artwork. This was posted over from CBR. Big thanks to them for posting this preview so incredibly quickly here. I wanted to kick things off by just talking a little bit about Steven Segovia's art. I've been a big fan of Segovia's work throughout the years and think that Segovia has done an excellent job progressing into just a more natural artist. And I really think that this issue in particular has great panel compositions, solid facial expressions, and really great moments of action that really show just how much Segovia commands the page here. I love, kind of this side eye over from Zealot and all these individual kind of expressions that these characters have. I will say one thing that Segovia does do here is I think Segovia is a little bit too focused on making the characters look cool despite what characterization or what emotion they're trying to interpret on the page. And the downside of this is I don't think the storytelling is always as clear as it potentially could be in certain moments. Also, I need to talk, and this is a great page for us to focus in on the script from Matthew Rosenberg. The script is largely focused on establishing this new team of Wildcats characters together and showing how they're going to be operating under their leader Jacob Marlowe. But I just found there to be all these kind of elements of violence throughout the series that served as a shorthand for characterization, making it so this comic is maybe less focused on establishing interesting characters and a team, and is more focused on some of those some of those shock moments that the original series carried on. Moments like the page we're looking at now, where Grifter is shooting someone, are just too plentiful over in the series. There's so many moments where Grifter is resorting to violence or talking about violence, and this ends up pulling away from some of the political tension that I know Rosenberg is trying to establish with the Halo Corporation and Marlowe as a character, that I think is sadly detracting from the series overall. There are some DC characters throughout this series. We do have characters like Nightwing showing up in the issue occasionally, but sadly, I don't think that Nightwing is able to give the context or the plot to make this issue really stand out from other Wildstorm reboots, or seem, really interesting or fascinating in that regard. So overall here, I think that the Wildcat script really has some room to grow in future issues. I do think that there is one scenario where I would be really curious to see where DC and this creative team goes next, and that would involve pitting the Authority characters that have been, being written incredibly well across those Superman books, and then to pit them against these Wildcats characters. I think that could be a really potentially interesting route for DC to really kind of make this series interesting from the get-go, because I think we've gotten a really solid outlook on the characterization of couples like Apollo and Midnighter from over in the War World saga with DC. So really hope that we're going to see maybe some shifting tones and different elements in future issues of the Wildcat series. But in the meantime, I want to know if you like this issue more than I did from a scripting perspective. Did you love the artwork from Steven Segovia as much as I did? I want you guys to let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming to check out our content, and we'll be back soon for some more excellent comic book videos. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful day. Bye.